Hello everyone and welcome to our BrightFunded Star Trader interview. My name is Jelle, I'm the CEO and co-founder of BrightFunded. BrightFunded is a prop trading firm where we grant traders the opportunity to trade with our funded star accounts up to $400,000 after passing our evaluation. Today I'm hosting an interview with one of our funded stars, Andrew. Andrew has just acquired a payout of over $6,000 on his funded star account. And Andrew is an amazing example of someone who's working a full-time job and is performing very well on the charts besides his full-time job. So sit back and enjoy. All right, BrightFunded family, our very first funded star trader interview, and I'm really grateful to have our man Andrew on the interview as our first funded star. And what I can only say from Andrew is that he is one of our top performers within the ecosystem. So I'm really looking forward to host this interview with Andrew and to share his strategies, to share his knowledge, and to share his insight as well with the community, with you guys, because I'm 100% sure that you can learn a lot from him. So enough said, I want to give the floor to Andrew. So Andrew, can you introduce yourself a little bit? So who are you? What do you do in your daily life? And how did you actually got into trading?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. BrightFunded family, excited to be on this call today. Hopefully you can gain some sort of knowledge from me. But yeah, so I've been trading since about 2012, off and on, not consistently, but just kind of off and on through over the years. I joined a couple of other prop firms I'm sure you all are familiar with in the past, FTMO, My Forex Funds, etc. Some good experiences, some bad experiences. Needless to say, they kind of left me looking for a more innovative, customer-friendly prop firm, and so I came across BrightFunded. And the rest is kind of history. But aside from trading, I've been in healthcare sales pretty much my whole career. We actually build predictive models that predict adverse events for patients. So it's kind of an AI machine learning type company. I'm not a data scientist myself. I wish I was. If I was, I would be better at trading.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, that's just a little bit about me. Married 2 years ago. I'm 29 and been trading for a little over 10 years.
Amazing, man. Amazing story. So a little bit about your daily job. It's sales, right? So just like selling the algorithms, is that right?
Yeah, so I just do the selling. I can't tell you how they're built. I'm supposed to be able to, but yeah, I just sell. So we sell to health systems, hospitals, doctors who use our algorithms to predict their most at-risk patients.
Crazy. Really good. And how did you actually got into trading a couple years ago?
Yeah, I think it actually started with like binary options, if you've ever heard of that. Kind of an older thing. I would say at this point that's more like sophisticated gambling, I think. Not really regulated, not like Forex. And so started off in that, but then I came across the opportunity with Forex. I had some kind of people who I was following back in the day. Charles Clifton out of the UK. Shout out to him. Hopefully he doesn't mind me sharing his name.
He made your journey, right?
Yeah, so that's kind of like my original mentor. I just got excited about the fact that you can really make a second or even a primary income from your desk. It just takes time, patience, and dedication, but just the potential to be able to make money and travel, be financially free is kind of why I got into Forex.
Yeah, I guess that's one of the reasons, one of the most common reasons why traders are getting into trading. Just the thing of the freedom, right? Because you can make money and you can trade from wherever and whenever you want, especially also besides your job. You're actually the one of the greatest examples that besides your full-time, is it a full-time job, by the way?
Yeah, full-time job. I do work remotely, so I'm at home. It's a little bit easier to manage kind of both rather than being in an office. But yeah, I definitely still have time to make a meaningful, Forex income.
Amazing, man. And how many years ago did you started with trading?
Yeah, 2012 was when I first started. So it's been a little over 11 years now.
11 years already. And can you guide me a little bit through the moment you started and the years, of course, after that, and where you are right now? Because right now you have like more than 10 years experience already, and I guess you actually from the traders we are working with, most of them are just started 4 to 5 years ago, but you already have experience with 10 years, so that's incredibly amazing. So can you guide me a little bit through your journey from the moment you started, from the course you bought from Clifton?
Yeah, it's definitely been a long journey full of a lot of lost money and a lot of made money. That's for sure. I think from the beginning it was kind of trying to find the perfect strategy, and you see so many things out there. Different trading forums. I think Baby Pips was one that I first started learning a lot from. Then of course I came across Charles Clifton, and just kind of learned a lot from him about like psychology and just long-term strategy. So I can't think of the names of the courses that I purchased, but I purchased a lot of courses over the years because anytime I went through a losing streak, I thought, well, this strategy doesn't work. I've got to find a better one. Which obviously, well that that's not the case. I kind of learned that I've never seen a straight equity curve, right? That doesn't exist. And I think a lot of traders think that you can just win every trade you take, without understanding that even the best strategy does have the peaks and the valleys. It's just how can you maximize the peaks and then minimize the valleys.
Exactly. And you told me, just told me that you started with binary options and then you got into Forex. What was the moment, what was actually the trigger that you decided to switch from binary options to Forex?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's just a lot of, with binary options, there's a lot of kind of shady brokers, and you didn't really know if your money was safe, long term. And so I started doing more research, and I found, there's reputable companies, even here in the US, like TD Ameritrade and others that offer Forex trading. So I think it was just kind of the confidence that, I wasn't working with something that might be a scam. And that confidence is also kind of like why I joined BrightFunded, just because, reading the backstory, looking at the roadmap, you actually have a LinkedIn profile. You're a real person. You're not just somebody in their parents' basement who launched a prop firm. So it's just the confidence in Forex and with the different organizations.
Yeah, amazing. Really good. Nice to hear. So a little bit about the Forex in the USA, because I sometimes hear from US-based traders it's a little bit hard to find a broker and to find the right broker, because I also know that, for example, the conditions on the brokers you just mentioned in the USA are not always that good. How do you
Yeah.
manage to still find the right brokers and to get accounts over there?
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the biggest differentiators with the prop firms, because you don't necessarily have to worry about going through those hurdles. Like you said, a lot of the U.S. prop firms, conditions aren't that great or extremely low leverage, and it's just hard to
Brokers
make.
as well, right? Brokers as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but brokers, because you can't open an account at all the European brokers, right?
Yeah, that's the worst part about being in the U.S. I wish there's a loophole to get around that, because a lot of the good brokers, like you just mentioned, I can't join. I'm stuck with either kind of unregulated offshore brokers that accept US customers, which there's a couple of those, but you just never feel safe with that. So that's kind of what pulled me into the prop firm space was, there's more opportunities, access to, greater capital and leverage. And to me, there's less downside risk, more upside reward with a prop firm.
Yeah, definitely. So that's also, especially for US-based traders and Canadian traders, prop firms are amazing, because in Europe it's pretty normal that you can open accounts at every broker or every firm actually, but for you guys it's a little bit different. So the world of prop firms are definitely an amazing outcome for your traders. So you told me a little bit about how you got into trading and you bought some courses. So what I'm also curious about is what was for you the hardest thing to learn actually, and to manage to be one of the a top performer within?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really just sticking to a strategy. So, obviously you can go through a stretch where you're kind of trying different things, but once you have a confidence level in a specific strategy, whatever it might be, I think you have to understand that there's probabilities involved, and if you keep switching strategies, the probabilities are never going to play out, and you have to let them play out over time. And I think of it as kind of a larger sample size, right? So rather than just trading, 5 trades or 10 trades, you have to look at 100 trades for a strategy,
Mhm.
and you'll see that there'll be, winning streaks, losing streaks, etc. And that was the hardest part for me to learn. I just thought that all these people online are making millions of dollars. They're never losing trades. When in reality, most of them aren't even trading.
Mhm.
So that was kind of the biggest lesson for me. Stop hopping around from strategy to strategy, looking for an automatic holy grail that'll just let me print money like a machine.
Yeah.
Sticking to a strategy and just having confidence in the probabilities.
Exactly, and just like also accept the upside and the downside of it, right? Because sometimes your strategy is playing out in the current market conditions, and sometimes it isn't playing out, and it's maybe time to take a little step back and come back in a few moments. So
Yep.
what I'm also curious about is what for you the decision, and when you decide, when you decided in the past to switch from strategy. So what were the triggers that you said, okay, now I'm gonna switch from strategy? Because most of the traders are facing problems with that. Okay, when do I need to switch from strategy? Is it because of a losing streak or after such amount of losing trades? Can you guide me a little bit through that?
Yeah. Sorry. So the question was like, when do I decide that I need to switch the strategy, or?
Exactly, or when not?
Yeah, I think it's just like for me, I've decided a couple of years back that I'm not going to switch my strategy. So there's a couple of core kind of pillars to my strategy, which I can talk about later. And I don't change it no matter what. So I might take a break, I might not trade for a week or two. But it goes back to what you said earlier about market conditions. You could be in the middle of a winning streak, or you could be at the start of a losing streak. And so, knowing that, it all kind of comes down to just kind of your risk management and your consistency, just sticking to it. It's just probabilities, let them play out. Uh, and to me, I think when you boil it down, all of the best strategies out there, and I could be wrong, but I think most of them probably have similar probabilities of being successful, over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years. Maybe this week one's doing better than the other, but I haven't found anything out there that, just by far and away is better than something else. It's just about consistency.
Can imagine that if it's working for you and you're comfortable with it, because that's also one of the most important things. You need to be comfortable with it, and yet need to have confidence within your strategy. And of course, confidence will come after you see that it's consistently profitable. But thanks for sharing, man, and more about your strategy in a bit. But first of all, I'm always really curious because BrightFunded, we launched 2 months ago, and you were actually one of our first traders, one of our first funded stars. So, question to you is, where did you hear actually about BrightFunded, and why did you decide to trade with BrightFunded with us?
Yeah, I can't remember who I saw that somebody on Twitter, which I'm not very active on social media. There's just a couple of things that I follow, but I saw somebody posted about BrightFunded, and like I clicked on the link, not thinking much of it. But as I started to go through the website and like learn about how innovation is at the forefront of what you're doing, having your own trading platform in house, like I think that's amazing. And even the like earning of the tokens, right? To me, it says that you're focused on more than just new sales, but also member experience or customer retention, right? So many firms out there are just worried about new sales. They don't care what happens after you purchase an account. Whereas I feel like BrightFunded makes a concerted effort to incentivize their traders to stay with the BrightFunded family,
Yeah,
and they're
that,
treating it as a long-term relationship.
yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. And just a little bit about our trading platform. So, we working together with a company on the trading platform side of things. So, of course, everything is under our own brand. So, together with the company we're working together with, we always optimize our trading platform in the best possible way for you guys. So, it's not completely in-house, but we're working with a company that is actually building the biggest trading platforms of the world. So we're happy with them, and we are continuously improving our trading platform with them. So you choose BrightFunded, and of course, what you just told me, you traded with a lot of firms already, because yeah, guys, you're already into trading for a pretty long period. So can you explain me a little bit about how has trading with BrightFunded actually differed from your previous trading experience with firms?
Yeah, I mean, I've really only traded with like probably 3 or 4 other firms over the last couple of years, prop firms specifically, not just forex brokers.
Mhm.
I think one of the things, I mean, just having the platform, like the execution is fast. The way you can open up a trade and you can enter in, rather than the number of pips or the price, you can enter in, the exact dollar amount that you are comfortable risking, right? So it's just like little things like that, little features within the platform, I think kind of differentiate you all. And the conditions seem like amazing so far. So I'm not somebody who's trading, scalping and trading 50 times per day, but in the limited number of trades that I've placed, like they've all been perfect execution. Uh, and then also just like kind of the customer service here at BrightFunded. Anytime I've had issues, I can go into the chat or into Discord, and either yourself or somebody from the team is quick to respond, and you don't feel like you're left, just wondering if you've, been shut down or shut out from the firm, right? And that's kind of been an experience that I've had in the past.
Yeah, I can totally imagine that. Yeah, that's something we are heavily investing in. So, and our customer support team, but we actually the executive team. So currently we have an executive team of Bogdan, who's our CDO, Siep, our COO, and myself. And we're actually actively managing the Discord customer support because we do really care about you guys, and we do you to have like one of the best experience within the industry, actually the best experience. So that's also why we invest in your user experience, trading platforms, but also in the trade to earn aspect, actually, to get you already reward you during the phase one, phase two. And that's something we are on a daily basis talking about with our team to improve that. So thanks for that, and really glad that you are recognize the things we are building and the things we are improving. So of course, I know your trading accounts already because I'm following them, and I'm pretty amazed actually. And just out of curiosity for our listeners, Andrew, could you provide me some insight into your BrightFunded account? So how many challenges do you currently have? Of course, if you want to share, and with how much capital you're currently funded with.
Yeah, so today I have 2 active funded accounts, so 200,000 and funding. I have a third one that's pending.
Mhm.
I believe I purchased either 3 or 4 challenges, kind of like when you first launched, because there was a special going on and I wanted to take advantage of that. I don't normally purchase that many challenges, but I did in the beginning, just because I felt comfortable with the company, right? So I purchased those. My strategy, it definitely differs on the challenges. I tend to risk a little bit more per trade. That doesn't mean I'm, just risking my entire margin to try and pass, immediately, but I do risk a little bit more rather than like the traditional, 0.25, 0.5% that I would on a funded account. Um, just because for me, time is also money, right? And I don't really want to spend, 2 or 3 months passing a challenge and then getting to the funded stage and then just happening to be in one of those valleys of my strategy. For me, psychologically, that's just a lot of time and effort. So, yeah, I like I said, 200K funded accounts with hopefully a third one coming soon, and of course, patiently waiting for the first payout later this week.
Exactly. So actually, the day this interview will be published, your payout is processed. So I guess it's a payout pending approximately between 6 to 7K.
Yeah,
So it's currently one of the biggest payouts we processed. So I'm really looking forward as well to seeing that being processed by the team to you. So definitely something to look forward to. And if you want to share, of course, you don't have to share it, but how much profit you already made so far with prop firms, including BrightFunded, of course.
yeah. So the majority of profits that I made were from the firm formerly known as my Forex funds. Um, and at the time where they kind of, dissolved, I think I had $400,000 in funding there through multiple accounts. I had probably $15,000 in payouts pending before they shut down. So I never saw that,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So just kind of a backstory, I try and target, 2% per pay period, right? I'm not trying to make 10% in one day or 20% of my account. I really want to kind of try and target 1 to 2%, maybe 3% per month. This trade that I took here at BrightFunded just so happened to have a lot of momentum behind it. I just left it running because I felt pretty good about it. But that's kind of an anomaly. I think, combined from prop firms, probably maybe $40,000 to $45,000. I don't know, not a lot. Just because, again, I'm not targeting like huge payouts. I don't think that's healthy. It's not consistent. You're better off just kind of having lower targets once you're funded. And then that way you can, make your accounts last a little bit longer, I think.
Oh, exactly. Actually, I talked to a lot of experienced traders and they all say the same, right? Just to aim for the 2-3% per month, because it's not needed to aim for the 6, 7, 8% per month. And the traders who are aiming for 6 to maybe 10% a month are most often the traders that are burning their accounts after 1 payout or 2 payouts. So that's something where traders definitely can learn from, because we also see it currently in our within our system. The most consistently traders are just aiming for small percentages per day and small percentages per month, and if they reach their percentages, their target percentage, they just quit with trading and wait till the payout date, because there's no need for trading because you have a pending payout. So that's definitely the way to go, and something where traders definitely can learn from. So you just told me that you made approximately 40 to 45K from prop firms. So our listeners are definitely curious about a little bit about your strategy, and myself too, of course. So can you actually tell me a little bit about your trading style and what kind of trader are you actually? What time frames are you looking at? And what pairs are you looking at?
Yeah, for sure. No, happy to share. Hopefully, it's probably hard to share it all just in a couple of minutes, but I think I'm definitely probably more of a day trader. I don't mean a scalper who's taking 10, 20, 30 trades per day, but most of the trades that I take are executed and typically will hit take profit or stop loss within a day or two, maybe 3 days. I think at the core of my trading style, it's really trying to be more reactive and not predictive. So I might have an idea of where I think price is going, but I'm not just going to get in and follow that immediately. I want to wait for price to come towards some sort of key structure level and see how it reacts in or around that area. And then from there, I'll set up my entry, stop loss, take profit, etc. But I think for me, I'm I have a different approach. I look at currencies as individual currencies. So I'm looking at the euro or the dollar or the yen, and I use a tool that kind of measures individual currency strength and weakness. And what I like to do is I like to find the top 2 or 3 currencies that are strong, and then I'll find the top 1, 2, or 3 currencies that are weak. And then you can look at potential crosses of those 2 or 3 currencies and find a chart that's trending the best or that has clear key levels of structure. And then I mark those typically on a daily time frame or even a 4-hour time frame. And then from there, I wait for one of those levels to be breached. So if we're in a downtrend, I wait for price to break through that level. But I'm not just going to buy right there, then and there. I want to wait for price to retrace. And to me, like in the real world, that's a discount or a sale, right? If you're trying to buy a TV or a piece of furniture, you want to wait for there to be a discount or a sale. So in my mind, that's the retracement back to those levels. You're buying at a discount or you're selling at a premium, and you just get better risk to reward entries that way. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. Definitely, a technical trader, technical analysis, daily chart, 4-hour chart, and then typically most of my entries are around the 1-hour chart. I do sometimes come down to the 15-minute chart to kind of look for, like double tops or double bottoms near those structures or engulfing candles, but I normally just stay on the 1-hour.
Can imagine that. So thanks for sharing. And do you also sometimes actually manage and fine-tune your entries on a little bit lower time frames? You just mentioned the 15-minute time frame, but also sometimes the 5-minute or even 1-minute time frame.
I used to. I don't do it as much anymore, just because, like, for me, psychologically, when I see the candles moving so fast,
Yeah.
I can't handle it. I can't do it. Like I mean, I can, but it's just not consistent, right? If I see a candle go the other way, I might even say, well, I'm going to add to this position and get a better entry, right? So then right there goes my whole risk management process. And so I just psychologically, I can't handle it. So I tend to stick 15-minute chart or even higher.
Great, great. So just to summarize, you start with your analysis on the currency indexes. Do you also, after you actually analyze the currency indexes, do you also analyze, of course, the currency pairs, but do you go really deep into the analysis of the pairs, or do you go really deep into just the currency indexes?
Yeah, so really it's the pairs, right? So if I know that the dollar is strong and maybe the yen and the Swiss franc are weak, right? I'll look at those crosses and I'll figure out, which one of those pairs has a better just overall structure, chart setup, right? Where are their key levels? Which ones are trending? Which ones are ranging? And I try to avoid the pairs that are ranging, obviously. That's kind of how I narrow it down. But every day, you with that approach, you have 2 or 3 or 4 potential pairs to look at and analyze, and then from there, it's marking the key levels, and then waiting for price to come to those. It could be a limit, not a limit, sorry, some sort of alert that you set, and then when price comes there, you want to see it break and then retrace. Uh, a lot of times, I'll set limit orders, so once a level's been broken, I don't have time to sit around the computer, so I'll set a limit order for the retracement. A little bit lower win rate doing that. I'd rather be able to be in front of my computer, see the reaction, look for a sign of continuation, and then get in. But you can't always do that when you're working.
Can imagine it. So you have to manage your time also very good. But it makes you more efficient, right? Because you have also things to do besides trading, so you can't stick behind the screen and overanalyze actually all day long, because you have to manage your time efficiently. So maybe it also helps you to just plan and schedule your time very well, and maybe it's one of the determinant factors that you're successful right now.
Yeah, I actually think that's one of the reasons why I've been able to have, some success is that I'm not on the charts all day long, right? I really only analyze, maybe the first hour of the morning when I wake up, right? I check to see which pairs are strong, which are weak, and then I go into the charts and mark my levels. And then it's just waiting, right? And then that way, when trades are, triggered or entered, I shut them off. I don't look at them at all. Like my take profit levels are set, my stop loss levels are set. It'll play out the way it plays out, and that's for me psychologically that works.
Amazing. So sometimes you look at your BrightFunded app during your work, and you see most of the time green numbers, right?
Yeah, I do. The BrightFunded app, I need to probably delete it off my phone so I don't go in there. But it's easy to. I like the app how it's easy just to pull up and I can check. Again, I try not to manage the trades once they're in, but it does help just to kind of see, when price is coming close to those levels for a potential trade.
Amazing. So the screen time of that BrightFunded app with the blue B is definitely high, right?
It's high. Yep.
Great, looking good. So thanks for sharing your strategy, Andrew. Last thing I'd like to know about your strategy is, can you also tell me a little bit about your risk management strategy? Do you have like a fixed stop loss in pips, or what is it?
Yeah, so it's not a fixed stop loss just because. No, actually, let me preface this. I do end up mainly trading the Euro USD just because there's more opportunities there. But I also will trade more of the exotic pairs, and like a stop loss might be 25 pips for the CAD JPY, whereas the same like amount of room is only 8 to 10 pips on the Euro USD, right? So it's not a set stop loss. I typically try and set my stop loss levels though, like above previous highs or lows, just to give the traded room to kind of run against me a little bit. But I typically like to target a 1 to 2 on the risk reward, maybe even a 1 to 3.
Just between 1 to 2, 1 to 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really try and target anything higher than that. That's just kind of been the sweet spot for me. I know people are posting on social media about their 1 to 10 and their 1 to 15s, but I'd like to see you do it over the course of 2 or 3 years. Maybe they are. I don't know.
You just stick with 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and sometimes if you, for example, end your trade at a 1 to 3 risk to reward and you see the trade actually ran into maybe a 1 to 5, 1 to 6, how do you manage your emotions in that way? Are you always like pretty stable in that, or do you sometimes think, I could have took the trade a little bit longer on?
Yeah, I mean, I think it can be dangerous. I used to do that a lot, and it would just, it would make me mad when I would see, man, if I just left that open, I could have made another, 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
But you have to just be comfortable with your rules and follow them. And again, like when you start messing with the risk to rewards, it can really, disproportionately affect your whole strategy, your probabilities that I talked about earlier. So just sticking to the 2 to 3 is what I do.
That's it. That's definitely it. Stick to the plan, write the plan out, and stick to it, and just execute it. Because not to think too much about it. If you just stick with the plan from a 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and if it's hitting, just close out the trade. And I guess that's also one of the reasons. Because from what I just saw is that you didn't fail any challenge yet, and that's actually at BrightFunded, and that's actually also a huge boost for yourself, and also a compliment to your strategy, and just to you sticking to the plan, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think definitely like that could be an anomaly, right? I wouldn't pass all 3, but I think just sticking to the probabilities, right? You go through a peak within the strategy, and you have to capitalize. So I think I was risking a little bit more. I think I was risking like 2.5% on those trades, just for the challenges, just because I wanted to kind of get a feel for the platform and the company. But I'll probably, over time, start to reduce that back to the standard of like 1%.
Amazing. Back to the basics.
Yep.
Amazing. So Andrew, can you maybe share your screen a little bit and just share me in a nutshell one of your recent profitable trades, and take me a little bit through the analysis you did.
Yeah, let me see. Let me pull it up really quick. Oops. Yeah, so this was one that I actually took on my personal account. Probably, I think it was around like the 19th to the 20th. So it's been like a week and a half. But earlier, I talked about how I like to kind of pick out the top 2 or 3, strong versus weak currencies, individual currencies, right? So I have this little screenshot from an Excel, which of course I'm like gathering this info from a tool that I use. But I list out the top 3 strong pairs and the weakest pairs. And on that day, I think it was the 19th or so, one of the crosses was the New Zealand dollar versus the US dollar, right? So, with that in mind, I know that the New Zealand dollar is weakening, the dollar is strengthening. You would think that the trend would continue, right? So around that time, if you can see where my mouse is, I think we were about right here on the chart on this candle on the 13th of Friday. And what I do at that time is it's hard to do it on this screen because you can't see everything, but this was the previous level of structure where price retested a couple of times the green line. So I marked that, and then what I do is I immediately switch down to a 1-hour chart, just because it kind of helps. Let me get this zoomed out. Sorry, I don't normally trade on TradingView, but I normally actually execute my trades on either the BrightFunded app or MetaTrader. But anyways, so price, broke through that level. And so like I talked about earlier, I want to see price, break through it and kind of continue down on its way for quite a while. And then I want to kind of set my entry near that same level. So I want to wait for price to retrace and then sell at a premium or buy at a discount. And so if you look at this trade, like this is kind of where I set up my buy limit order or my sell limit order up here. It took a couple of days for price to come up to that level, and it didn't actually trigger for like 3 or 4 days, right? So I'm still
keep patience. How do you keep patience? Because I saw from the moment you said your limit, it almost hit your limit. Aren't you really wanting to just shoot it in? Because you're really patient if I look at this.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it kind of comes back to what I talked about earlier. So, when I set ideally I'll be at my computer screen when price is in or around this level. And then I can kind of look at it and say, all right, we're close. There might be, a bearish engulfing candle or some sort of double top pattern on a lower time frame. And I might enter, around this area. Thankfully, I wasn't at the chart. And so I just kind of missed that entry. So I just waited and waited. I knew kind of based on my analysis that the New Zealand dollar was still weak, the dollar was still strong. And I was just hoping that price would retrace. I will say sometimes, price will break these levels and just keep going. And it'll just take off without you, but you have to just be okay with that. Because there's also times where price will break through and then immediately reverse when you get some divergence. So it's just staying patient and waiting for price to get to that level and not, entering too early or too late.
That's it.
But that's kind of like the gist of the strategy, right? It's figuring out on a higher time frame. I know there's more details than just this, but
just narrow it
marking
down.
key levels. Yeah, marking key levels on a daily chart of support and resistance, and then kind of just following the trend once it's broken and then retrace. It's simple, but I think that's kind of the key to my success. I'm not trying to overcomplicate things and have 5 or 10 indicators that have to line up just this way. This is kind of a framework that I've used that Charles taught me, and treating currencies as individual currencies, right? Like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Dollar strong across the board. The yen might be weak across the board, and then look for potential entries once you know that.
That's it. So thanks for that. And I see this trade you let it run for approximately 2 days. So definitely that we won't charge any swap fees will also help you let the trade a little bit run a little bit longer, right?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about you all, right? Other firms and other brokers, they do charge the swap fees, so you're more, incentivized to close early. Whereas I was able to just kind of let this run comfortably. And once this was triggered, I didn't come back to this chart until it closed, right? So I didn't even come back and look, because I don't like to look at what price is doing once I'm already in the trade, just because, again, it kind of throws off my psychology.
That's it. So it seems you are really having a pretty straight plan, and you know what the plan is, and you won't at any circumstance differ from the plan, right?
Yeah, I mean it's that simple, right? It's
you say it's that simple, but it's not that simple for everyone, of course, because if everyone found it that simple, then we all had traders like you, Andrew. But it seems that simple, but the psychology within trading and being maybe behind the chart for almost all day long can pretty fuck up your psychology, right?
Yeah, I think that's why I kind of built this framework. It allows me to have less chart time, because I'd be the first to admit, my psychology isn't where it needs to be from a trading perspective. And that's with 10, 11 years of trading. I still have issues with handling losses and handling wins, right? So for me, this is a framework that allows me to have a couple trades per week, a couple of rules, pretty cut and dry, and I don't deviate from that no matter what.
Amazing, man. Thanks for sharing. Great. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Andrew. Thanks for sharing your detailed breakdown of your trade. Just to wrap this interview up, and I want to already thank you for your amazing answers and amazing knowledge you shared. So we already talked a little bit about it, but what's your advice to a trader who isn't yet consistent and is working really hard towards his or her first funded star account at BrightFunded, or that first payout split or payout?
Yeah, I mean, I think just kind of focusing on yourself and what you're doing day in and day out, and not getting caught up in, there's so many people on social media who can make things seem easier than they are, or just kind of set unrealistic expectations. And I think that can really get in the way of success. So just focusing on you and your own personal results and your own goals, having clear goals. Maybe you want to have a funded star account in 6 months. That's a perfect goal to have, right? You don't have to have everything tomorrow or today. It's more about setting up yourself for success over the long term. And then just back to what I said earlier about every good strategy, just knowing that there's no such thing as a straight equity curve that goes up like that. Like nobody's doing that anywhere in the world. There's ups and downs. There's good times. There's bad times. So just stick to whatever you're comfortable with.
Amazing, man. Thanks for that. And talking a little bit about goals, looking at yourself and looking at your own trading journey, what are your goals for the next year and approximately in about 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously continuing success with BrightFunded, and maybe if I can find another one or two firms that I have confidence in, then I will look to expand. But right now, I just don't have much confidence in really like anybody else, to be honest. So that props to you all for instilling the confidence there. But obviously, yeah, growing maybe potentially prop firm capital. I'd like to. I'm not trying to sell anything to anybody. I'm not one of these influencers, but I wouldn't mind like making myself available to people who have questions or need advice, right? Or even just ideas, like not trading signals, but hey, here's why I took this trade. Here's the framework that I used to enter this. Hopefully, it's helpful. So maybe kind of like a consultant to people. I don't know. Ultimately, I'd like to go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. What I just want to ask you, because you currently aren't really active on Twitter, you aren't really active on socials, and that's often the way to promote yourself and to show your results, of course. But you are really down to earth trader, and your results speak for themselves. So maybe it's just like the right time right now to open a Twitter account and share in your way, right? Just in your personal way and where you are comfortable with your journey and your knowledge about trading, because traders can definitely learn from it.
Yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. Maybe people can reach out even on like Discord and the BrightFunded. If they see me on there, like feel free to reach out to me there. But I am definitely planning on, at least having some sort of Twitter account or maybe even a YouTube channel where people can actually see my face and, have confidence in the person behind what they're talking about. So yeah, that's definitely a goal of mine. I'm hoping to do that probably, before the end of this year. Only have a couple of months left to get that started. It's just hard to manage all of that with, the career, but no excuses. But I think ultimately I would like to build more of a track record, like a consistent, here's what I've done over the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years of trading. And, ultimately would love to manage like private investors' capital. It's a big stretch, but you have to have goals, right? So that's kind of a goal that I have over the next 5 years.
Definitely looking good. So we will definitely link your Discord name within the description of the video, and maybe already your Twitter handle. What I'm also curious about is currently you have like a daily job, full-time job as a sales rep, actually, if I can call it, at your medical company. But is it also a goal from you or for you to quit that job and to focus yourself fully into trading?
I mean, it would be nice. It's not really a goal that I have, just because, I think it is realistic, but it's also not. Just from like a longevity perspective, right? I mean, I don't want to rely on trading solely for my income, but if I happen to reach a point where I'm making a decent amount of money and I'm doing it consistently, and it makes financial sense, then I'd love to quit that job. But it is a career that I enjoy, and like it's a meaningful career where I'm making an impact on people's health. So happy to keep doing it, but if I could retire by the age of 35 or 40, I'd be happy.
That's amazing. And maybe it's currently also the perfect recipe for your current success, because you can be behind the screens all day long, and you just have to manage your time very, very efficiently. So
Right.
thanks for that. And my very, very last question, Andrew, is why would you recommend BrightFunded to your fellow traders?
Yeah, I mean, I always look for confidence in two things, like the product or the platform and the people who are behind the platform. And if you have confidence in those two things or those two items, then I think you're in the right place. Personally, I have confidence in you, your team, what they're doing. Very transparent, you're innovative, and like really kind of trying to disrupt the space. So yeah, I mean, you have my full endorsement, and I think traders who are looking for a reputable prop firm where they can be rewarded for their success, but also incentivized to continue the partnership, BrightFunded is the one to go with.
Amazing, man. Thanks for that. And again, I want to thank you for being present on our very first interview, Funded Star Trader interview. Hopefully we can schedule another one in a couple months and after a lot of payouts later. So I want to wish you all the best with your current accounts within the upcoming months. And let's schedule something for in a couple months just to wrap up and see how your goals are playing out.
Yeah, that sounds good. Thank you, BrightFunded family.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Andrew.
All right, take care.
All right, that was a banger of an interview, right? Andrew shared some incredible, valuable insights on his strategy, about how he's viewing the markets and how he's performing his analysis. And in my point of view, Andrew is the perfect example of someone who's working a full-time job and is performing very well on the charts besides his full-time job. So guys, that was it for today. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, hit the notification button, show Andrew some love in the comments, and I see you at the next one.